Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a case that, well, it's really captured public attention for, 2 decades now? The 2004 disappearance of Maura Murray.
Yeah, it's a deeply puzzling one. 21 years old, nursing student at UMass Amherst, just vanished.
Exactly. And you shared some great resources. We've got articles from People, the very detailed Wikipedia page, and a really useful FAQ doc that kind of pulls everything together.
It's amazing how much has been written, isn't it? And these sources, they really lay out just how many questions are still unanswered.
Yeah.
It really shows how much her story has resonated.
Absolutely. So our goal here for the learner is to sift through all this, figure out the key timeline, understand the big questions, and just get a feel for why this case is still such a mystery,
Right, without getting totally lost in every single detail, because there are a lot.
Oh, yeah. We want to focus on what these sources really point to as being, the most important or the most baffling parts of her disappearance. Okay, so let's just dive right in. February 9th, 2004, the day she disappeared.
Okay, yeah. The timeline that day is, it's pretty packed and frankly kind of strange. It kicks off in the morning.
Right. She emails her professors and her work supervisor too, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm. Emails them about a death in the family, says she needs a week off. But her family later confirmed that wasn't true. There was no death.
Which is weird right from the start. Why make that up?
Exactly. Then around 1 p.m., she emails her boyfriend, says something like she didn't feel like talking much, but would call him later.
Okay. And she makes some calls too.
Yeah, calls a condo place in Bartlett, New Hampshire. Apparently her family used to vacation up there, and she's asked me about renting.
Bartlett and AJ. Okay.
And also calls an info line for hotels in Stowe, Vermont. And one other call to another nursing student. Nobody seems to know why, though.
So Bartlett and Stowe. Both up north, resorty areas. It sounds like she was definitely thinking about heading that way, doesn't it?
It really does. That seems pretty clear. But the big question is, why didn't she tell anyone? Why all the secrecy?
Good point. Okay, so the afternoon rolls on. More emails.
Yep, 1:24 p.m. She emails her work supervisor again, still talking about the made-up family death and when she'll be back.
And then more calls about hotels?
At 2:05 p.m., yeah. Specifically calling about booking in Stowe, Vermont. Then just a bit later, 2:18 p.m., she leaves a voicemail for her boyfriend. Again, just says she'll talk to him later.
It's almost like she's trying to seem normal in those messages, but behind the scenes, she's making these secret travel plans.
It has that feel, definitely.
Yeah.
And then there's the packing. Sometime in the afternoon, she starts packing her car.
What did she take?
Clothes, toiletries, textbooks, birth control pills. But here's the really interesting part. When they searched her dorm room later, most of her stuff was already packed up in boxes, like art off the walls, everything packed away. It looked like she was moving out, not just taking a week off.
Wow. Okay, that's significant. It suggests something much more permanent.
Right. And on top of one of the boxes, they found a printed email, an email to her boyfriend that apparently hinted at, problems in their relationship.
And we should remember classes were actually canceled that day, right? Snowstorm.
Yeah, classes canceled. So around 3:30 p.m., she gets in her car, the black 1996 Saturn, and leaves the UMass campus.
And then we have some concrete sightings, sort of, from cameras.
Exactly. Security footage. 3:40 p.m., she's at an ATM, withdraws $280. Footage shows she's alone.
Okay.
Then she stops at a liquor store nearby, buys about $40 worth of alcohol Baileys, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of Franzia wine, again, alone on the camera.
Quite a mix of drinks.
Yeah, and somewhere in there, she also picks up accident report forms from the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
Accident forms? Huh. That seems oddly specific, almost like she was expecting something.
It's definitely one of those details people have focused on. So she's got cash, booze, accident forms, and she leaves Amherst probably between 4 and 5 p.m. Looks like she took I-91 north.
And her phone, any activity.
The last time her cell phone was verifiably used was 4:37 p.m. She checked her voicemail.
And after that?
Nothing. Radio silence. No one knows where she was actually going. She hadn't told a soul. And there's no real proof she'd even picked a final destination. It's like she just drove north.
Okay, so she's heading north, phone goes quiet, then the accident.
Right. Sometime after 7 p.m., a resident up in Woodsville, New Hampshire, hears this loud thump outside.
Woodsville, okay.
Sees Maura's car. It's up against a snowbank on Route 112 that's also called Wild Amonastic Road. The weird thing is the car's facing west, but it's in the eastbound lane.
Facing the wrong way. So she spun out or
tried to make a sharp turn, maybe. Hard to say exactly, but yeah, facing the wrong direction.
So the resident calls 911.
Yep, at 7:27 p.m. Reports a single car accident, says it's on a sharp corner. Now, initially, she thought she saw a man smoking in the car.
A man?
Yeah, but she later clarified. Said maybe it was just a red glow, like from a cell phone light or something.
Ah, okay. And then someone else stops.
This is key. A school bus driver, driving his route, sees the car, stops. He sees Maura outside the car.
What did he say she looked like? Injured?
No, he said she didn't seem hurt, not bleeding or anything, just looked cold, shivering.
Okay, so she's cold, but seemingly okay. He offers help.
He does, offers to call for help. And this is where it gets really strange.
Yeah.
Maura says no. She tells him she already called AAA. But the sources are clear. AAA has zero record of any call from her.
Wow. Okay. So she lies about calling AAA. Anything else?
One report says she actually pleaded with him not to call the police.
Really? Don't call the police. Why would she say that after an accident?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's one of the most puzzling parts. So the bus driver, he knows there's basically no cell service right there.
Right.
So he drives home, maybe 10 minutes down the road, and calls the police from his house.
Okay. What time was his call?
That call comes into the Grafton County Sheriff's Department at 7:43 p.m. He mentioned he couldn't actually see her car anymore from where he was calling, but he did see other cars driving past the spot.
So other people were driving by. But there's another witness account around this time too, isn't there? A conflicting one.
Yeah, this is another wrinkle. Around 7:37 p.m., so before the bus driver's call officially logs in, another local resident says she drove past.
Yeah.
She claims she saw a police SUV parked nose to nose with Maura's car, but she didn't see anyone in or around either vehicle.
A police SUV.
Yeah.
But the official log says the first officer didn't arrive until later.
Exactly. Her account totally contradicts the official police log timeline. So with someone else there, another officer, it's never been resolved.
Okay, so then the official police response happens.
Right. According to the log, 7:46 p.m., a Haverhill police officer arrives on scene.
And Maura?
Gone. Vanished. The car is there, it's locked, but there's no sign of Maura anywhere nearby.
Locked. She locked the car after talking to the bus driver.
Seems like it. Another odd detail that investigators have puzzled over. Why lock it if you're just stepping away for a second or waiting for help you supposedly called?
Okay, what about the car itself? The damage?
Pretty significant damage, mostly driver's side. Looks like she hit a tree. Left headlight smashed, radiator pushed into the fan, windshield cracked on the driver's side, and both airbags went off. So it wasn't just a minor bump.
Right. Airbags deploying means a decent impact. What about inside the car?
They found red stains. Police thought it was probably red wine, an empty beer bottle, the damaged box of Franzia wine.
So some of the alcohol she bought was opened.
Yeah. Also her AAA card, those blank accident report forms she picked up.
There they are again.
Right. Gloves, CDs, makeup, some diamond jewelry, directions to Burlington, Vermont.
Burlington, not Stowe or Bartlett.
Directions to Burlington, yeah. Another possible destination. Also her favorite stuffed animal, and a book called Not Without Peril, which is about, like, mountain climbing dangers in the White Mountains.
Quite a collection of stuff.
Yeah.
But what was missing?
That's also crucial. Her debit card, credit cards, her cell phone, gone.
Wallet basics and her phone, gone.
And some of the alcohol she bought was missing too, not just the open stuff. So the essentials you'd need, basically gone, while other personal items are left behind.
Okay, so police are there, Maura's gone. What happens next?
Around 8 p.m., EMS and a fire truck show up, clear the scene. By about 8:49 p.m., the Saturn's towed away to a local garage.
Any other sightings that night?
There's one more potential sighting. A contractor driving home between 8:00 and 8:30 p.m. saw someone young walking quickly, eastbound on Route 112, maybe 4 or 5 miles east of the crash site.
East. Away from where the bus driver saw her.
Yeah, further down the road. Described as wearing jeans, dark coat, light-colored hood. The problem is he didn't report it for like 3 months. He was mixed up about the date he saw the person.
Okay, so the timing is fuzzy, and there was something about a rag.
Yeah. Almost forgot. A rag looked like it came from Maura's roadside emergency kit, was found stuffed into the Saturn's tailpipe.
Stuffed in the tailpipe. Why?
Yeah.
To disable the car. Or something else.
Another unanswered question. Could it have been Maura trying to make it look like car trouble? Or someone else? No one knows. So by noon the next day, February 10th, the authorities are officially calling her missing.
Wow. Okay, just recapping that night. Weird pre-trip behavior, secretive plans, the accident, refusing help, asking the bus driver not to call police, vanishing before they arrive, the locked car, missing essentials but other stuff left behind, the conflicting witness about the SUV, the rag.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you're thinking, what was going on in her head? Was she running from something to something? And what happened in those crucial minutes between the bus driver leaving and the police arriving? The whole initial scene is just layered with inconsistencies and oddities.
Definitely. Okay, so she's officially missing. Let's get into the initial investigation, the searches in those early days and months, 2004, 2005.
Right. So February 10th, the day after, they issue a be on the lookout or below alert. Describes her, mentions the dark coat, jeans, black backpack she might have.
And her family gets notified.
Well, they leave a voicemail on her dad, Fred's machine, about the car being found abandoned, but he was actually out of state, didn't get it right away.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It wasn't until Maura's sister contacted him later that evening that he found out. He called Haverhill PD immediately, of course.
So he heads up there.
Straight away. Arrives in Haverhill on February 11th. And the search really ramps up then. New Hampshire Fish and Game gets involved. They often handle searches in rugged areas. So that suggests they were initially worried she might have wandered off into the woods nearby.
Makes sense for the area.
Families there, volunteers. They bring in a tracking dog.
Did it find anything?
It picked up her scent from a glove found near the car, apparently. Followed it about 100 yards east along the road, and then the scent just stopped cold.
Stuff like just gone.
Yeah. Which immediately made people think, okay, maybe she got into another car right at that spot.
Okay, and her boyfriend came up too.
He did, with his parents. Later that day, February 11th, police questioned him. And pretty quickly, by that evening, the police started floating theories. Maybe she was a runaway. Maybe it was suicide.
Which the family rejected from the start, right?
Absolutely. They were adamant that didn't fit Maura at all.
And wasn't there something about a voicemail her boyfriend got?
Oh, yeah. That's incredibly unsettling. He got a voicemail later, couldn't make out words, just sounded like he thought Maura sobbing or whimpering.
Oh, wow.
They traced the call origin eventually. It came from an American Red Cross calling card.
A calling card. Not her cell phone. What does that even mean? Was it her? Where was she?
Exactly. It's so ambiguous, but so disturbing. Just another piece that doesn't quite fit anywhere.
So media starts picking up on this.
Yeah, things escalate. February 12th, her dad and boyfriend hold a press conference pleading for information. The next day, February 13th, first big wave of press coverage hits.
What was the official line from police by then?
Well, the narrative seemed to be shifting. Police reports start suggesting she might have been headed for the Kankamagus Highway. That's another scenic, kind of remote road nearby. They officially list her as endangered and possibly suicidal.
So they're leaning heavily into that theory.
Seems like it. And they also put out there that she was intoxicated at the crash scene.
Wait, intoxicated?
Yeah.
But didn't the bus driver say she didn't seem injured, just cold? He didn't mention her being drunk, did he?
He did not, and that's a major point of contention. The family has always pushed back hard on that claim, saying it contradicts the only eyewitness who actually spoke to her.
Yeah, that seems like a really important discrepancy. It feels like the official story solidified very quickly around her leaving voluntarily or being suicidal, despite these conflicting points.
It does feel that way looking back. Then about 10 days after she vanished, the FBI gets involved. They start interviewing family, friends back in Massachusetts. The search goes nationwide, technically.
Was there another big search effort on the ground?
Yes, a second major search. Used a helicopter with thermal imaging, more dogs, both tracking dogs and cadaver dogs this time.
Cadaver dogs.
Yeah.
So they were seriously considering she might be deceased nearby.
They had to consider all possibilities. Then, late February the 26th, Maura's sister actually found something while searching.
What was it?
A pair of ripped white women's underwear, found on a secluded trail near French Pond Road.
Oh, wow. Was it?
No, using DNA testing. It wasn't Maura's. Just another dead end, really.
Man, that must have been tough. False hope like that.
Brutal. End of February, police give the stuff from Maura's car back to the family. Early March, the family checks out of the motel they'd been staying at. But Fred, her dad, he keeps coming back every weekend, searching on his own.
Just wouldn't give up.
Not a chance. It actually led to some friction. In April, Haverhill PD warned him about trespassing complaints. People were reporting him on their property while he was searching. Shows how desperate he was and maybe how tense things were getting.
Yeah, I can imagine. And around this time, wasn't there another disappearance that drew comparisons?
Right. Brianna Maitland. March 2004, just a month after Maura, up in Vermont. Her car was found abandoned in strange circumstances, too. Naturally, people started wondering if there was a link.
Did the police think so?
Officially, no. By June of 2004, both Vermont and New Hampshire police stated they didn't see a connection. Their public stance on Maura was still that she was likely heading somewhere specific, maybe got a ride with someone, and they didn't have evidence of foul play or like a serial killer being involved.
But the investigation wasn't totally closed, right?
Yeah.
They took the car items back.
Yeah. In July 2004, police collected those items back from the family, said it was for more forensic analysis, maybe new techniques were available, or they had a new angle.
And another search in July.
A big one.
Yeah.
1 mile radius around the crash site. First big search without snow on the ground. Focused on finding that missing black backpack, about 100 people involved.
By anything.
Nothing conclusive is what the sources say. Another search, another dead end.
This must have been incredibly frustrating for the family.
Immensely. Then, late 2004, this really strange lead comes up involving a knife.
A knife.
Yeah, a man approaches Fred Murray, gives him this rusty, stained knife, says it belonged to his brother.
Okay.
This brother apparently had a criminal record, lived near the crash site, acted really weird after Maura disappeared. The man claimed his brother even confessed to using that knife to kill Maura.
Whoa. That sounds potentially huge.
Right. And supposedly, this brother scrapped his Volvo car shortly after Maura vanished. Very suspicious details.
But there's always a but in this case, isn't there?
Pretty much. The family of the guy who gave Fred the knife, they came forward later and basically said he made the whole story up.
Made it up. Why?
They claimed he had a history of drug problems and might have just been trying to get reward money, so the credibility of that whole knife story just collapsed.
Huh. Another roller coaster.
Yeah.
It shows how hard it is to know what's real information and what's just noise.
Exactly. So 2005 rolls around. Fred's still fighting. He petitions the governor of New Hampshire for help, goes on the Montel Williams show to get national attention.
Try to keep the pressure on.
Definitely. February 9th, 2005, the first anniversary, they hold a service at the crash site. Fred actually meets briefly with the governor there.
Did that lead to anything?
Doesn't seem like it directly led to breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Later in 2005, Fred gets so frustrated with the lack of info from officials, he actually sues several law enforcement agencies, trying to force them to release the case files.
Whoa, suing the police. He was really pushing back.
He was. And then one more strange thing from 2005. November. A post appears on an online message board, the one for that book found in her car, Not Without Peril.
Right.
Someone using the name Tom Davies posts, saying they saw a black backpack look like Maura's behind a restroom at a place called Pemigewasset Overlook. That's about 30 miles east of the crash site.
30 miles east. Did police check it out?
Law enforcement has said they know about the post, but they've never confirmed if they found a backpack there or did any testing. So, another loose end. This whole initial period, so much activity, so many leads turning into nothing, and just this glowing sense of frustration.
Yeah, you can really feel that building. The lack of any solid answers after all that effort.
Yeah. It really sets the stage for why this has remained such an enduring mystery. The trail seems to go cold almost immediately, despite all those initial searches and leads.
Okay, let's move into the years after that initial flurry. From 2006 up to, well, basically the present day. Did the searching continue?
It did, often driven by volunteers and private groups. In 2006, the New Hampshire League of Investigators got involved. Also, the Molly Bish Foundation, they work on missing persons cases. A private investigator working on it then was quoted saying something like, something ominous could have happened. People were definitely feeling foul play was likely.
Was there more reward money offered?
Yeah, 2007, a group out of Arkansas put up $75,000 for info leading to solving the case.
And more searches around the crash area.
October 2006, yeah. Another volunteer search near the crash site. And this is where that A-frame house comes into focus.
The A-frame? What happened there?
Cadaver dogs during that search apparently alerted inside a closet in this A-frame house. It's about a mile from the crash site.
A cadaver dog alerted. That means they smelled human decomposition.
That's what an alert typically indicates, yes. And this house, it used to be lived in by the brother of the guy who gave Fred the rusty knife. Remember him?
Oh, right. The guy whose story fell apart. But the dog still alerted at his brother's old house.
That's the report. So NHC police took a carpet sample from that closet.
And the results?
Never released publicly, which you can imagine has only fueled more speculation about that house over the years. Why not release the results if they showed nothing?
Exactly. That lack of transparency is frustrating. More searches after that.
July 2008, another volunteer effort. Woods around Route 112, dog teams, private investigators, still hoping to turn something up.
Did Maura's case influence anything at the state level?
It did, actually. By 2009, people pushing for New Hampshire to create a dedicated cold case unit were specifically mentioning Maura's disappearance as a prime example of why it was needed.
And did they create one?
They did. And later that year, Maura's case was officially added to the list for this new cold case unit.
Did that change things? Did the family feel more hopeful?
It was maybe a structural step forward, but the frustration continued. In 2010, Fred Murray really went public with his criticism, said the police weren't treating it like a crime, basically, just a missing person. He called for the FBI to take a bigger role.
How did the state police respond to that?
They pushed back a bit, saying the investigation was active and they were treating it as a suspicious disappearance, potentially a homicide. But still, no major breaks.
So the anniversaries keep passing. 10th anniversary, 2014. Any updates?
State police put out a statement basically saying still no credible sightings of Maura since the night she disappeared. By then, Fred was publicly saying he believed she was dead, abducted.
Just heartbreaking. And the 13th anniversary, 2017.
Similar story. State police, still an open case, periods of activity, but no new public updates.
15 years. 2019. Fred's still focused on that house.
Very much so. February 2019, he reiterates his belief Maura's dead and says again he's suspicious about that A-frame house where the dogs alerted years ago.
And did they finally do something more there?
They did. Finally, after all the pressure and speculation, early April 2019, they excavated part of the basement of that house.
Did they find anything?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing was the official word. Just some old pottery shards, bits of pipe. Huge disappointment for everyone hoping that was the spot.
Wow. All that suspicion and nothing. Even the roadside memorial had issues, right?
Yeah, just sort of adding insult to injury, almost. Early 2021, the property owner where the crash happened cut down the tree that people use as an informal memorial, often tied a blue ribbon there for Maura.
Oh, that's sad.
And then the family requested an official historical marker for the site, but the state turned that down too.
Tough breaks all around. Was there any other potential evidence found more recently? Bones.
There was a moment of hope, yeah. September 2021, bone fragments were found up on Loon Mountain. That's about 25 miles east of the crash site.
Had Maura been there before?
Yes, it was known she'd been to Loon Mountain, so naturally hopes were raised. Could this finally be her? But no. By November 2021, forensic tests confirmed the bones were not Maura's. Another dead end.
Just relentless. Has there been any recent federal involvement?
Well, January 2022, the FBI issued a national alert for Maura and created a VICAP profile, that's the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. Helps share info between agencies on unsolved violent crimes, so it keeps her case officially active on a national level.
Any recent searches based on that?
July 2022, there was a law enforcement search mentioned in Landaff and Easton, towns near the crash site. But the sources we have don't say if anything significant came from it.
And just this year, 2024, was the 20th anniversary.
Yeah. February 2024, 20 years. NH officials released an age-progressed photo of what Maura might look like now, hoping maybe that jogs someone's memory.
And her sister started a podcast.
Right. Julie Murray. First called Media Pressure. Now it's the untold story of Maura Murray. She shares details, family theories, trying to keep the momentum going.
So throughout all this, what's the family's consistent view?
Unwavering belief in foul play. They just don't buy the idea she wandered off into the woods and succumbed to the elements. Why haven't any remains or belongings ever been found then? Her refusal of help, vanishing before police, they see that as deeply suspicious.
They think she got a ride.
That's the prevailing theory for them, yeah. Got a ride, but with the wrong person. Fred Murray, until he passed away, was convinced she was abducted and killed.
It's just an incredible saga of searching and waiting. The family's dedication is just immense.
Truly remarkable. And what makes this case stand out, too, is its timing, right? Something the sources really emphasize.
Yeah, the whole social media age thing.
Exactly. It's often called the first crime mystery of the social media age because she disappeared literally days after Facebook first launched.
Wow, I didn't realize the timing was that close.
Yeah. So right from the beginning, this case exploded online in a way that hadn't really happened before. Massive online speculation, amateur detectives digging into every detail, theories spreading like wildfire, some plausible, some really out there.
A whole online community built around it.
A huge one. And the media coverage has been constant, too, over the years. 2020, Disappeared, endless news articles, books written about it, too.
Like that true crime addict book.
Right, by James Renner. He proposed theories like she ran away to start a new life, or maybe was killed by someone she knew. Theories the family strongly disagrees with, by the way.
Yeah, I remember that causing some controversy. And now Julie's using TikTok, too.
Yeah, started an account in 2021, using modern platforms to keep raising awareness, reaching younger audiences.
It really is a double-edged sword, this online attention, isn't it?
Totally. Like one article said, online, it feels like there's no such thing as a cold case anymore, which is good. It keeps eyes on it, keeps people searching.
Right. Keeps hope alive, maybe generates new leads.
But the flip side is, misinformation spreads easily. Rumors get treated as fact. And all the wild speculation can be incredibly painful for the family who are just trying to find the truth. It's a tough balance.
Definitely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. As we wrap up this deep dive on Maura Murray, what are the main things you think the learners should take away from all this?
Well, I think the core thing is just, it's a profoundly unsettling mystery, isn't it? You have this unusual, secretive behavior before she disappeared, then this really confusing accident scene, and then just nothing. A complete lack of concrete answers for 2 decades, despite so much effort.
Yeah.
It really shines a light on how difficult missing persons cases can be, especially when you don't have clear evidence or reliable witnesses right away. And maybe most importantly, it shows the huge ongoing impact these unsolved disappearances have on the families left behind. Their search for answers just doesn't stop.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a final thought for you, the learner. Thinking about everything we discussed, the limited phone use, the specific things left in the car versus what was missing, those conflicting witness accounts right at the scene. If one single piece of information came out today, what do you think would be the key? What piece could finally unlock what happened to Maura Murray?
That's a tough one. Maybe finding that black backpack? Or clarifying who, if anyone, was in that supposed police SUV?
Yeah. And maybe stepping back, what does the fact that this case still generates so much discussion, especially online, tell us about how we grapple with mysteries like this in our super-connected world, about the complexities of someone just vanishing?
It's a lot to think about. And if you do want to explore more, there are definitely places to go. Those online forums and communities dedicated to the case are vast.
Right, though maybe approached with caution, given the speculation.
Yeah, good point. But also, listening to Julie Murray's podcast, The Untold Story of Maura Murray, is probably a great resource for the family's perspective and updates. She apparently put the accident reports and 9/11 transcripts online as bonus content, too.
Ah, okay. That could offer more direct details for anyone wanting to dig deeper.
Definitely worth checking out if this case has grabbed you.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Maura Murray disappearance. It's a case with so many layers, still unresolved after all this time. Our thoughts are definitely with Maura's family as they continue to hope for answers.